I'm Linda Hillringhouse. I'm a poet, painter, and professor. I want to talk about painting first. The first painting I ever saw when I was a kid was The Sleeping Gypsy by Henri Rousseau at the MoMA. And I was enthralled by it. And when I began to paint, I never made the connection at the time. I began many years ago painting. But as the years have passed, I've begun to notice elements from that Sleeping Gypsy painting in my own work. And I think the reason that it stayed with me for so long and has had such a powerful effect on me is that the Sleeping Gypsy is lying there in the sand and seems unconscious, and there's a lion standing over her, sort of sniffing at her shoulder. And it's not clear whether the lion means to harm her or is protecting her. And I think that that captured my situation at home in my younger years. What was my status in the family? Was I safe in the family? Did I have a protector, or was I going to be in danger? And I also think it came to represent the unknown part of myself that I struggled to know over the years. So it's really had a profound influence on my work. And I realized only yesterday that one of my paintings, called The Sleeping Artist, has several of the elements as the Rousseau painting. There is a sleeping figure, sleeping and also kind of unconscious. There's no sense of real consciousness at work here. And there's a moon, and there's a vertical design. There are almost like bands of fields, I should say, of color and shape, the way that the Rousseau painting has. I'd like to mention too the difference in the process between writing poetry and painting. When I paint, it's unconscious. It's as if I am out of time and that the images are just coming out of my arm into the brush and onto the paper. It's there's a real sense, I don't know what's going to happen, and I love to find out who is going to appear, what is going to appear on the paper. But with poetry, it's much more difficult because you have to go in deep and you have to visit some places that you might not really want to visit, and it's kind of an unconscious place because images and words kind of pop up, but then you have to use the smartest part of your mind to then construct the poem. And so that tension between the going to a kind of a rational place in your mind and then having to go to a very rational place in your mind to build the poem. I've always thought that tension was interesting and difficult to work with. Why is art important? Why is poetry important? I think art trains the mind to imagine. If we can't imagine, and poetry trains the mind to imagine. And if we can't imagine, we can't empathize. And if we can't empathize, we cannot be good to each other. So on some kind of moral ground alone, I think art is so important. I mean, putting aside the loftier issues of beauty and spirituality, and thinking about what does this mean for people? What does it mean to look at art? What does it mean to read? I think when you look at art, you enter the work and you live in that work and you come out of it changed. And it's the same with reading. You live in that work and you never come out the same person. Something is different. Something is changed. You may be aware of new feelings. You may see the world in a very different way. But they're transformative in an active way. You're participating with the work.